Okay, right. Let's get started. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. This is the one of two webinars today, so I think our voices are going to be gone by the end of the day. But it's ultimately it's to go over our emissions measurement and monitoring technology roadmap that we've developed in partnership with the NSTA. So I don't know if Carlo or Doug are on the webinar in the background, but I believe Carlo's there. So morning, Carlo. But we'll get them on later on at the end. But this was a project that we launched in partnership with the NSTA as a sort of, it was a request really from industry based on the discussions we're having, the conversations that were ongoing. We felt that this was something that we could really help with, step in and showcase what there is out there. So what we'll go through is a bit of an initiative overview. As I discussed, it's really to discuss why we're here, why we're doing a webinar. There's a few quotes from the IEA, the methane tracker that came out, and it was quite weird timing because it's all came out at the same times as we were putting stuff out. So it was great. It was unplanned as well. An overview of the roadmap itself, discussion on the technology showcase that we held on the 21st of March. And highlights, and then, like I say, it's a Q&A session at the end. But we should probably do introductions because I've just jumped in as usual. So, Nikki.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Nikki Chambers. I am Head of Technology Services here at the NZTC.
And good morning, I'm Lewis Harper. I'm Project Manager, Technology Services here at NZTC. So, I'll hand over to you.
Yep. So this is really just to show you a little bit of the workings and why we've got to and how we've got to where we've got to just now. So the initial discussions with the NSTA were about how we could actually help the industry. So we all know that emissions measurement and monitoring is an area that we need to tackle. It's something that everyone does differently, and part of the initial discussion was we don't know what we don't know in terms of the technology that's out there. So we started this process by actually pulling together a lot of the operators. The invites went out to, I think, all of the operators in the UK. We got them together here in NZTC and actually asked them questions. So what were your challenges? What are you currently doing? How is it that we can help? And actually, we had such a good engagement during that session. And you can see on the right here, it's sort of some of the sticky notes that we had. So the main areas that we were looking at was in terms of the measurement and monitoring to do with power management, on the flare side of things. Some of the other, we've had the additional measurement one, and I can't actually read the purple. What was the purple?
The vent management.
Venting, that was it. So we had a huge amount of feedback from all of the operators there, and we have to thank anyone that's on this call that joined in with us there. It was a really good discussion, and it made it very clear that we were on the right path looking at this. This was something that everybody wanted, and it probably sort of opened our eyes a little bit into how it could potentially grow and what it is that we needed to do. So that was in August, and we all got together then to have a look about how could we take these particular bits of feedback from the operators and turn this into something that was useful to work across industry, work with the supply chain, work with the developers to actually bring something together that has resulted in the report today. So I'll hand you back to Lewis, who will talk over some of the other piece.
Yeah, so as Nikki says, when we did that operator workshop, it identified where can we help, and as we know, we all need to baseline our emissions, and we felt that was a good starting point for us because it's sort of that measurement and monitoring piece, particularly around the stewardship expectation delivery. You know, one of the requirements and expectations of good stewardship is to accurately measure and monitor your emissions. We know as well that there's the increasing focus on OGMP 2.0. There's the increasing focus on methane potentially coming into the ETS, and it's more of a when, not if. So it was something that we felt quite passionate about, that we could really support to in particular, one quote we had was, "It's great introducing these initiatives into ETS schemes and sort of, you know, taxing us on these emissions, but we need to understand how we can manage them first before we even get taxed on them." And we kind of, that resonated with us, that okay, there's something we can do here to try and give back a little bit. But what we did need to do was we needed to understand what was out there. It's always the same. There's always technology out there that you're not aware of, that's hidden in the background. And sort of NZTC are quite well placed in the sense that we can put these large call for technologies out and get a fairly good response back. And that's what we did in October. On the 4th of October, we launched our call for technologies to shape this roadmap today. So we received over 60 submissions, all of which have to be sorted and filtered, and we got the usual, you know, this is a submission for emissions measurement and monitoring only, and we got the typical please fund my hydrogen project, but never mind. So we filtered through all these, but we also did cross-referencing, and what I mean by that is we looked at the likes of the great work that Carbon Limits have done, IOGP have done, methane guiding principles, all these sort of world-leading publications, to see where are these technology solutions referenced in these places, and is there any noise around them, really? That's sometimes the best metric for technology, is the amount of noise that it's getting. So we looked at the 60, excuse me, and evaluated against those reports there. So interestingly, when we were doing this work, as I say, the IEA launched their methane tracker, and there was a few quotes in it that I just want to pull out, because there were quotes that really resonated as to that we were looking at the right subject and doing the right thing. So in particular, one of the quotes was, cutting 75% of methane from fossil fuel would require less than 5% of the industry's 23 income, which I thought was quite astounding. And yeah, it did actually make us recognize that a lot of these technologies could be retrofitted. They don't require shutdowns, they don't require large modifications, and really 9 times out of 10, it's knowing where there is a potential leak or a source, and rectifying that using conventional methods rather than innovative technology. But you need the technology to identify those sources of leaks. So this was one that really struck a chord with us. And then the second one being that the large methane emission events were detected by satellites by more than 50% in 2023 compared to 2022, which again we sort of, that was a new space for us, really, no pun intended, but it really was quite recognizable that the area of open source, freely available data from satellite companies is growing significantly. It really is a space race out there just now, and we wanted to try and move into that, to recognize that you don't necessarily have to go with cameras and detection methods in a bottom up. You can also use top down methodologies in partnership with your bottom up methodologies with open source data from some brilliant companies like GHG Sat that we had, and Methane Sat, etc. We actually invited them to some of the showcases, and they came back and told us that they were a little busy just now and wouldn't manage to make it. And I was quite confused as to why they couldn't make it. I thought it would be a great event for them, but it turns out they were being launched by SpaceX that month, so it was fair to say they were quite busy. And so, yeah, as I say, we took these various references that we have across the board, IOGP and Carbon Limits, etc., along with our call, and we commingled these into what we believe is a really great cross-section of the technology that's available today. So our plan is not to deliver something that's extensive, which goes into the detection thresholds, it goes into, you know, the various applications for every technology. It's really just to spur that organic conversation that you as an operator or an asset owner can go away and take this technology and go, oh, this applies for me. I will go and contact them, or I'll go and see how they've been used further. But it's really just giving you that visibility of what's out there, and that you can actually accurately measure and monitor your technology. So how we distilled that, we distilled it into 6 different categories, ranging from satellites all the way at the top, right down to handhelds and across the board. So we feel like that we've got a really good mix across these six areas, these 6 deployment technologies. And we hope that the report really does provide that sort of insight that you're looking for as to where do I turn to when I'm looking for technology.
Yeah. So this was last month. We held this on the 21st of March. So we invited a number of the technology providers along to actually take part in a technology showcase. Again, this was down in the NZTC Innovation Hub. It was a really great day. We had over 80 people attending. We had a number of keynote speeches, but in the end, we had 14 technology providers who were in attendance. It was a really good event. We had an awful lot of interaction with people, and it was nice to get the buzz back in the room because it's been a while since we've had something like this. I know that the NSTA were along, and Carlo in particular. There's some good photographs up on the website about from the day itself. But yeah, it was something that we think was really beneficial. It gave everybody the opportunity to have those discussions maybe and find out a little bit more on the technical side for some of the technologies that they don't actually, or they weren't familiar with. So again, thank you everyone for coming along, and all the providers for actually being in attendance and presenting their technologies. We did have folk travel quite away from to be part of it. So it was really nice to see it wasn't just the local suppliers. So it was a great event, really well attended, and hopefully we'll have a few more of these in the future. So, but yeah, that was the showcase itself.
And then into the why we're here today. So the actual report is now available. I think we're going to put a link of it in the chat. Like I say, we're really here to produce not something to the extent of carbon limits or IOGP. These are really specialist organizations that we would never try and replicate what they do. That, you know, that they belong in that place, and rightfully so. But we did want to provide that high level cross section of the landscape today, so that operators and asset owners can understand what technologies out there. Now, there is a few technologies across the board which may be applied and aren't featured, and that's understandable. But we had to distill down to a manageable amount to actually get the report out, because this felt like a long task to get it published. But we recognize that this is probably an ongoing initiative, if I'm honest with you. This is version 1, and I imagine that we would revisit this in a year's time and see the landscape completely changed and completely evolved.
I think that's the thing to note. You know, this is as it was when we put out the call for technologies. Already some of these technologies will have moved on, and it's a fast developing area. There's a lot of these technologies that could be used together as well. So it's an interesting take on across the board the different applications of it. But I think we noted in the report that, you know, this is very much a fast moving area, and it's like I guess the state of the art right now. So yeah, hopefully it will be something that we will update again in the future.
So I think that's us. We've kind of rattled through quite quickly, but we're into the questions and answers section. I don't know if Carlo, if you want to make Carlo a participant, and if you want to come on and say a few words, not to put you on the spot. Right, great. So if there's any Q&A to have, please fire through the chat. Or if anyone wants to become a participant,
can you see me?
Yes, there we go, Carlo. Yeah.
No, sorry, it took a second to enable me as a panelist, I guess. So I saw that, but that happened very well in the background. Well done, team. So first of all, thank you, NZTC, for this initiative. It was a great collaboration between our organizations, and I completely support what Nikki and Lewis just said. So it's an important topic. The industry has clearly an obligation to deliver on emission reductions. This for me was the first installment, let's say, of perhaps a longer a broader look at technologies that we might want to keep doing. So emission measurement and monitoring are foundational for the reduction that has to come later on. Obviously, the reduction is the aim, but if we don't have a quick grip on how much we emit, where we emit from, it's going to be difficult to then appreciate then the reduction stage that happened later. The other thing that I found is that the approach was brilliant, querying the supply chain, understanding with the eyes of the operators what can be deployed on the different assets, and understanding that we need a full portfolio of technologies to tackle emission reduction eventually. If you read this report, which have 50 odd technologies. Sorry, Lewis, I didn't memorize the exact number, but I think it's in that order. And 50% of those are from UK developers. That's another thing that should be celebrated. And if you look at them, the classification is also very interesting in the report. Please read the report and understand how the Net Zero Technology Center has classified and organized those technologies. They work in combination. In many cases, top-down measurement and bottom-up measurements actually merge in order to have like a more doable emission monitoring on given assets, and also better capabilities to retrofit these to existing assets where we didn't have the right instrumentation at the start, but the instrumentation that is proposed through this report can be applied to existing assets through a combination of sensors, cameras, drones, and even satellites. And actually, as these technologies work together, the product, i.e. the measurement, actually enhances, improves. So you have more accurate, more real-time, and a robust foundation, like I said before, to base our emission reduction strategies, which is the next thing that we might want to look at with the Net Zero Technology Center. Yeah, thanks a lot, team. Great work and great report.
Great, thanks, Carlo. Thank you.
So we have a question through the Q&A, and it's how do we plan to keep this roadmap live? For example, this company is looking at methane plumes and didn't see the initial call for technology. So this is something that we will discuss, I think, with the NSTA in terms of how we can keep this up to date. It's something that we still have to, as I said, I think earlier, this grew into something more than we possibly thought it was at the beginning when we started this process. So we need to have just discuss what we do, the next phases of this. I guess it is something that is worth noting that there is an event at the end of May that's being run by the Technology Leadership Board in association with the NSTA that is actually looking at emissions reduction technologies. So again, it's a showcase, and I think the call might have closed, Carlo, I'm not sure, but it's something, so to keep an eye out for it. It is it's on, I think it's the 29th of May. So it's sort of like the next part of this. We have the technologies here that is looking at, how do we actually measure and monitor the emissions, but the next part is, can we find the technologies that will actually help reduce it, that become part of the emission reduction area plans that the NSTA are looking to be submitted. So
I think just a note on there as well, on your question, Terry, that you're mentioning that you utilize Worldview 3, so Maxar's Worldview 3 and Sentinel from ESA. There's a whole area there for us. I believe that in this report we highlight ESA's Sentinel satellite and Maxar's Worldview 3, but there's a whole layer below that on how companies are using the publicly available satellite data. We know the likes of Total, for instance, are looking at how they utilize that data. So there's a whole piece there. So very keen to distill that and look further into not only what's publicly available, but how are people using that publicly available data. So great question. Carlo, do you want to come off mute?
No, sorry, am I off mute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, sorry, I hit the wrong button so that the hand went up. I was trying just to type in the comment box. I'll post the TLB, Technology Leadership Board email address any of you who has an interest in emission reduction technologies, please send that email address a quick note expressing your interest. And we are doing a selection of technologies to present at the showcase that the TLB will do in collaboration with the Net Zero Technology Center on the 29th of May. So I'll put the address in the chat room. Sorry for the hand up.
It's okay. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, just personally take the opportunity to thank that's it, that's coming through chat. So just take the opportunity to thank some of the companies that have been featured that have, we've had to deal with from the showcase, but actually being featured in the report. The 45 companies that are featured, all of which were contacted to ensure that the data sheets that are submitted there are correct and verified. The last thing we want to do is put out information that hasn't been checked with the actual companies. So that takes time, and we really appreciate the companies engaging with us and getting back with edits, but not just edits, imagery as well. It's a complex world publishing images. So it's really appreciated all the input that these companies have supplied us, and as Nikki says, the operators at the very start of this initiative who really helped shape it, who were quite candid and open with us about what the problems are, and we can only help if we know them truly. So we appreciate that sort of feedback. It enables us to do give something back that is representative of what you're looking for, rather than something that sort of almost fits. So I hope this report gives you some great information. I hope it stems some partnerships that we will see in a year's time that we wouldn't have otherwise seen. And ultimately, we hope that it can be utilized quite widely.
And I'd like to add, as the Net Zero Technology Center, it's definitely an area of focus for us. So it's something that we're always looking out there for, the technologies that are current, but what's coming up as well. So it's although this is sort of the line in the sand, I guess, of where we're at now, it's something that we're always aware of is those technologies that are going to be developed and make a change to how we maybe do things in the future. I mean, if someone had said 5 years ago about the satellites and that becoming a big piece of this, we probably wouldn't have thought it would happen quite so quickly. So, as the technology center, that is an area that we will keep an eye on, and we're always looking out on the horizon of what's coming up and what's being developed at the minute. So if you have anything that you want to get in touch with us about on these lines, please don't hesitate to do so. We will follow this up with, we'll send out the slides to all of the participants here. And if there's anyone that that you think might be beneficial for them to join, please point them to the one that we've got this afternoon. That is at 3:30. I'm looking at the events team here, 3:30. So we'll run the same thing again, but everyone's more than welcome to come and join this. We'd sort of set this up so that we could hopefully get people not just in the UK but outside the UK, and it would fit with people's diaries. So hopefully you can push this forward, and maybe we'll have a few more attend this afternoon. So, but yeah, it's really good to see so much interest in this, and that people are joining the webinar. So, and yeah, great.
Thank you very much. And if there's anything else that you didn't manage to ask, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn or give us an email, and we'll try our best to help out. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Carlo.